Pollock. So I was given the opportunity to introduce the speaker this morning, a few days ago, and I jumped on it because Sage is going to be our speaker, and Sage is one of my best friends in the world and was my first friend in these rooms, for sure. And that was so important in my recovery to be able to find that. And I feel like that really did kick off with just like an extended kind gesture from Sage. And I really respect their program. They work this thing. They have a sponsor, they go to meetings, they sponsor other people. Sage is always in some sort of service position, whether it's, like an organized formal event or just being, I feel like at the heart of like fellowship, in our group. Sage is organizing events and making sure that like everyone feels included all the time. And that's like who Sage is like somebody who extends that hand pretty continuously and wants others to feel a part of this program, and wants others to feel that they care. And I just really respect Sage so much, and I am grateful for their recovery because it's helped me. And of course, as an alcoholic, I'm like, "Ooh, how can this help me?" Sage's recovery has helped me so much, and I'm just very grateful and excited to hear their story today. Thank you.
I brought this with Slam the first time I did this, and I forgot again, so I don't have a cup spot. Hi, my name is Sage, and I'm an alcoholic. Thank you, Stanley, for asking me to speak, and thank you all for being here. Um, Today, I want to talk about. I've told my story a few times inside this room, inside like the Tuesday night speaker meeting. So I want to talk about like the gifts that AA has brought to me, and the things that I've gained from this program. Not to say like that it's all about, I've gained a new life from it. And where that started was like my sobriety date is June 25th of 2020. Um, I got sober in the middle of COVID. It was not my decision, but it wasn't a court decision. It was more of a family decision. Um, my family told me that like I had the idea of either going to treatment or I guess like a sanitarium of sorts, being locked up, or moving to Missoula. And I chose to move here because it was the easiest option. As an alcoholic, I always chose the easiest, simplest option for my life. Um, Going back to like when I was first drinking back in high school, I had a very common drinking career in high school. I did the partying in junior year. My first drink was not fun. It sucked. I went to a house that my friend had invited me to, and he said there's alcohol. Before this, I was working in a church to become like a pastor of sorts. So I was like a goody two shoes kid, and I was like alcohol's not what I want to do. I want friends. I didn't have any friends. Um, so I went over, and my buddy and his friend got drunk and got some sort of alcohol poisoning because they ended up vomiting, and it was terrible. I hated every single moment of it. Um, what I didn't hate is the aftermath of that, which was that I was able to talk about like, oh yeah, I had a drink, I had alcohol, like, I'm cool now, and that cascaded into the rest of my high school where um, I started partying more. I had a big old blowout on my like 17th birthday of like I got drunk in the middle of the woods with a bunch of friends. Um, I passed out in a bathroom. I puked a lot. All that fun stuff. I became um, that center of attention in a negative way, um, where I was always like the first one to get drunk. I've always been small. Like my metabolism is always been too fast. I just get drunk real fast, and I loved it because I could drink a little bit quickly and feel it, and then I could go the rest of the night and ride that high. Um, and that what that did to me after high school was I got into college. I got a long-term girlfriend. Um, we were gonna get married. We're gonna do the whole like thing. I was like 21. I was able to buy alcohol. I started drinking beer. I told myself I wasn't drinking liquor. I followed like those rules that Dan talked about. I only drank beer. But I drank the heaviest beer I could. I was drinking darks and highest alcohol content I could find. But I was just doing it at home. And then I met one of my closest and longest friends that I had in alcoholism, and I became really good friends with him because not because of the fact that like we were close, but because he had access to alcohol more than I did. Like he was wealthier. Um, he lived out in the middle of the woods, uh, and it was an escape. Um, so I'd go out there and I'd drink, and this was before like a lot of phones had Wi-Fi, and um, I grew up through technology, so I got there and I didn't have service because he didn't have service. I didn't have like an iPod or anything. I couldn't text on my phone out there, so it was an escape. And this connection with alcohol and this connection with a person with alcohol um, ruined the first of many relationships in my life. Um, Looking back, I'm not upset that we didn't end up together. I don't think we were a good fit. I think I jumped into it. That is part of my alcoholism is I will gravitate and take on the first thing that seems good to me. Um, you know, if a situation doesn't seem like it's hitting my selfish like stride, I will find something bigger, better, prettier, smaller, anything that is different from what I'm going for. Um, and that's what it is. I chased this like if we were alcohol. I met that friend. I met other friends. I met a roommate that we partied every single night. And I was able to keep like I was able to have flings and short-term partners and um, yeah, but I was never able to keep a relationship. And while this was all happening, my relationship with my family was starting to like disintegrate. I stopped coming around for birthdays. Christmases and holidays became okay. How fast can I like get out of here so that I can go drink? Um, Christmas was like used to be my favorite holiday because I like gifts, because I used to work Christmas Eve in retail, and then I'd buy a bottle of wine and a joint, and I'd smoke that joint and drink a bottle of wine like at Christmas Eve but to myself, and then I start drinking at 8 a.m. on Christmas. Um, and I used to play this little game with myself is how fast can I get drunk in the morning before everyone else wakes up, so I don't have to like really associate with the people that are my family. Um, when that roommate he left for the armed forces. I moved into the last apartment I lived in Spokane, and when I did that, I was living in a studio because it was like the cheapest thing I could find. I had to find a place like a month, and the housing market was just as bad back then as it is now, where it's either cheap and shitty or it's expensive and way out of the city, or there's just nothing. And I was lucky enough that I found like this place, and I moved in within a week. Once again, jumping to the first thing that like came to my into my view, not taking any like not stopping and breathing and talking to another higher power or to someone else. I just went, oh, I love this place. It's downtown. I can like walk to any bar. That was really helpful for me because I've never been able to drive mentally. Um, I did driver's ed and barely passed, and then just kind of sat on a permit until it went null and void. And I've had a state ID since. So being able to walk to bars was really helpful. Um, I moved into this place, and immediately, like within the first year, a bar opened below it. Um, and I remember in that first night that I went there, I tried every cocktail on the menu. Um, and what one of them had was an absinthe and champagne mix. So, I don't remember much. I do remember like there's spots in there of like clearage. But what I do remember is like once again, I started like I found that those friendships. I found those people that like I could hang out with. Um, and it felt right. It felt like home. Like I was there in that bar more than I was at my house. Um, I would go to that house and I'd sleep. Um, I had a cat that I would like take care of to the bare minimum. Um, and I still like if I could do an amends to an animal, I would do an amends to that cat because it deserves one. Um, but through like that year, through that time, um, I never thought that I was a real alcoholic. I never thought that like waking up with a hangover was unnatural. Cause I drank. That's just what people that drink do. Like it didn't matter that I drank every single day and always had a hangover. What was on the outside of that is when I started retail, um, I went from a seasonal employee at the age of 20 to by 26 I was managing the store and I was working a full-time job and making really good money. Um, I never realized how much money I was making really because I spent it all on alcohol and on drugs and a lot of clothes, a lot of clothes. Um, so I never invested. I didn't ever think to like think for the future. Because I didn't want a future. I wanted to die in that bar. Like I wanted to when it went down, I wanted to go down. Cause I didn't see anything. I didn't see any like I would go around and I would, have this really uplifting, healthy lifestyle. And inside of that I felt so alone. Um, I started going to the bar and just like it was, that time where I was like, I don't want to drink, but I want to not be home. I'm gonna sit in there, I'm gonna have a beer and I'm gonna read, or I'm gonna like do something. I'm gonna like do a task, but that one beer turned into two, turned into a couple shots, turned into playing pool, turned into like doing other substances, turned into like I'm up till 3 a.m. again, and like fuck, I have to work at 8 a.m. And um, that was like my life. Um, when it came kind of to head was there was a point when I was about 25 where I on Instagram many years ago I like wrote out this letter to I don't know who. I can't tell this day. I can't tell you who. All I know is I wrote out to Instagram and it was a suicide note of sorts. Um, and I put it on there, and I then went to work and continued my day. I was like, oh, like that's just like I was having a bad day. When I started getting calls from like my family, my dad, my sisters, uh, my aunt, uh, anyone that like I was friends with or like was friends of friends with people on my Instagram, which was a lot, um, started to call me. And what a crazy digital age that was because like if I think back to like my childhood, I remember like I would have been able to do it and I would have probably taken my life that day. Um, but the cops were called, the firemen were called to my apartment. Um, they came to my work and checked in with me. I had to get a wellness check. Um, and that was like the first time that I ever thought like, oh, maybe like I should take a step like a break from like drinking. So what I did was is I stopped drinking, um, cold turkey, but I didn't change anything about my life. I still go to the bar. I switched from like gin and tonics to just tonic water. Um, I still hung with the same people. I still went out. I still went to like do all the same things with the same people, same crowd. My life, my behaviors did not change. Um, and that lasted 28 days. I tried to make it 30, and I couldn't make it 30 days. And the way it ended was a buddy of mine. I was at like this like outdoor lawn show, and I went to this get a slice of pizza with my buddy. The pizza place had a bar in it. Um, and he's like, "Hey, just do like one shot, like half a shot. It's nothing." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." I just had a half shot whiskey, and then I ordered a beer afterwards. I was like, "All right, I've broken it. I've drank." There's nothing more. Like I failed in a way. Um, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna drink, like whatever. Um, and then all my like my rules and my small little like ideas that I had about drinking went out the window. I didn't care about who I drank with, where I drank, what drugs I did, who I did them with, who I had around me. I started to like take everyone down with me. It wasn't just like I'm gonna get drunk by myself and then like suffer the consequences of a hangover. It's like, hey, like I'm getting drunk and I'm gonna go hang out with sober people, belligerently drunk. And you guys just have to accept that like that's who I am as a person. And I so socially and psychologically like abused all my friends because I made it so that like if they wanted to be my friend, they had to either drink with me or like hang out who I got drunk. You know, we got that one beer, and I would while they drank one beer, I'd go up and have like two shots like off the side with other friends I that drank heavier than they did. But I started to like notice a decline in my friends that cared about me and the people that cared about me. My family life started, like you can call I don't can't even call it family life. My relationship with my dad and my stepmom and like their family at that point was like broken. I never came around except for when I was being given things. I'd only call my dad when I needed groceries. Um, or if I need help with rent, which was not that common because I had a very like one of the landlords that will knock on your door on the second and the third until you have rent. Um, but I didn't ever want to feed myself, so I'd buy like get groceries and let them go bad, and then we get groceries again, and he always pay because I never had the money to, and I think in part of ways he was trying to make sure that his child didn't like die, and the sad part was I could care less at this point in my life. And then in 2020, after like this that was like the start of the decline. At the bottom of the decline, where I was drinking a box of wine, a case of White Claws a day, um, because I was the cheapest thing you could buy at Rite Aid in the middle of COVID, and I was drinking like the bar that was below me started serving like 32-ounce mixed drinks that I would go walk down and grab one and walk around and drink. This life of that nothing else. I did nothing else but drink. Um, there was nothing. I guess there was nothing to do, but I didn't like trying to get healthy. I got my last relationship in alcoholism around this time, and I hid the fact that I was an alcoholic with them. Um, I don't know how in the beginning, but then it kind of started to show where like we'd have a couple beers and I drink a whole 6 pack or a 12 pack to myself. Um, and on the morning of June 25th, I woke up and Instagram had excuse my French, but it fucked me again. Because I people started like realizing that I was not this like all-star gleaming person, healthy person they all knew. I was a piece of trash. Um, I was not someone that deserved any friends. I kind of like I laid there for like 48 hours after reading all that. I read everything, which if anyone has ever gone through that, don't like stay off social media when that shitty things happen. It just makes me feel a lot worse. And if I could call it was a depression like cascade. And I just lay there for about 48 hours, didn't eat, didn't move, didn't. I think I got up to like use a bath like once because I had nothing in my stomach. Um, and then I got a knock on my door, and it was like an eviction notice because my landlord, as terrible as he was, he also owned the bar downstairs. The bar owner caught wind of what I was doing. Um, he told my landlord. It all came to fruition of like this person is not someone we want in our community. Um, and I can safely say like that in my life now, I wouldn't want that person in my community. Um, it was an unhealthy person. And then the next day, I got a call from my then partner who had broke up with me. So in meetings, I'll say I got broken up with, evicted, and fired. Because I got fired from the bar because I was still technically working there. Oh, back up. I worked at the bar, which that was really healthy. But I got fired from there. Um, all three of those happened in like one 72-hour period, uh, which kind of sucked. Um, what really sucked was the time when I called, after I got evicted, I called my dad. I didn't know. I'd be lying if I said that. I did not call my dad. I texted him and I said, "Hey, I just got evicted." Um, didn't tell him why, because I didn't want him to know the truth of who his child was. Because I was ashamed of that. And I was wondering if there was any chance I could like live in your basement. Like I knew that I was being selfish and self-centered, and I was like, well, I will be sober in this house, but you have to like let me live it. You have to once again let me live in this spot and let me be in this spot. And what happened was is my stepmom called me back, uh, and um, over the course of about half an hour of me like bawling, crying, um, one of the worst cries I've ever had in my entire life. She told me that that was not an option, and that I had the option of, as I said earlier, going to it. They would help me get into treatment and like in a intake spot and do that, or move to Missoula. And I said, well, and the caveat with moving to Missoula was I was moving with my mom, who from the age of 14 up until 27, I don't have a relationship with, because she has an addiction problem, and I thinking that I was better than her. At that point I was sober. Yes. And I told her that I didn't want to talk. I wanted her to leave me alone and to never contact me ever again. Um, because I don't I don't hang out with people that have addiction problems at that time in my life. And what I didn't realize was that was who I was. Like I became that person. I became kind of the same issues that she was having, and the same things that were going on in her life happening in my life. Um, and she lives here. I still live with her in like a 2-bedroom house because the housing in Missoula sucks, and it's it's the it's a good spot for me. It's a spot where I have someone that I can go to and talk to about my things going on my life, that is almost like it's like a roommate, but it's like a roommate that like I've known for years because I have known her for my whole life. Um, but when I'm in that phone call, it was like with a talk of my stepmom and I, of like my dad, sorry, was willing to help me get over here. And he did. I spent the next week packing up my apartment, um, and throwing away a lot of things. Um, and I left it in a terrible manner. I ended up paying my one of my someone else in the building $200 to clean it because I didn't have time. I probably did have time. I just didn't take the time. Um, but I left and I moved. My dad. I did the work and I got a storage like facility. Um, and my dad helped me get all my stuff into that with my brother-in-law. And then my dad put me on a Greyhound bus at about 5 a.m. on July 7th. Um, and I came over to Missoula. I remember I came to Missoula, I was like, I'll do AA like once a week, like maybe twice a week, if that like I'm not gonna do that program because like AA to me was like the real failure of like having to sit in a room with a bunch of alcoholics. Um, I did that as a kid when I was one of those kids in NA rooms, sitting in the corner drawing. So I didn't want to be like someone that would walk around and say, "Yeah, I'm an alcoholic. I'm a recovering alcoholic. Like I can't have alcohol." I just want to get sober. I want to get sober, and I wanted to like move back to Spokane in October And this was like my way out, was like moving to Missoula, letting things clear up, letting like the air the smoke fade, and then just going back. Um, and I remember I told that to my mom, like all of that, and she said, "No, we're going to meet like tonight." And I said, "I just got here. I'm tired. Like, I can't go to meetings. You can take a nap. Like, we're going to a meeting though." And I'm very thankful for that. I went and I went to the zoo group, the 8 p.m. And I sat in the back corner, and um, I still like to say like I can look at the seat and know who was sitting next to me, who was in the like left behind me, because I wasn't looking up. I was looking around. Um, I was looking down. I was looking like everywhere, but like at people's eyes, because I couldn't do that. I couldn't look at anyone. Um, and I got my coin, and as is like tradition to hug, I told the chairperson. Um, for those of you that know, it was Bruiser Gonzalez Graybill. And for me to say no, I'm not gonna give you a hug. I'm gonna give you a handshake. I think upset him a little bit. Um, but yeah, he was nice as he was okay with that. He like shook my hand. I got my coin. I sent it to my dad, and I sent it to my dad, my stepmom, and my sisters. Um, hoping that like I get like a praise of like, oh cool, like you did it. You went to a meeting. Like you sat there and you got a coin. Um, I don't remember if I got anything back. Um, and I know I kind of hope I didn't, because what I did, what it meant was I like, because if I would have gotten like a big praise back or call from my parents, like it would have probably fueled this fire of like, oh yeah, I can manipulate more. I can um go back and I can like use you guys more. What ended up happening is uh I kind of like play the dance of the rooms. Went to few meetings. I did a lot of the zoo group because my sleep schedule. Um, I was up till like usually like 3 in the morning. Wake up at 1 p.m. Hanging out. Well, I had a kind of a rule. I set a new rule. I couldn't be in downtown Missoula past 9 p.m. because like I might walk into a bar. Like my feet might just walk me into a bar and I might drink. So I used to like leave the 8 p.m. and like kind of run home, which I lived that time over on 6th Street over by the college. And for about 2 or 3 months, I played this game of like, I'm just gonna go to meetings. I'm not gonna share. I'll show up to meeting early, but I'm gonna be on my phone and I'm not gonna talk to anyone. Like, I want everyone at this arm's length because I was not gonna do this program. I didn't want to do it. I didn't. I was here because I was so sad and afraid. Um, uh, that lasted a couple months. I went to Young Guns at the 10 p.m. meeting, which is unfortunately shut down at this point. But I went there, and I got involved in service because of my background in graphic design, and like my short college stint before I dropped out of community college. I was doing like graphic design and such. So I got this like job. I got this service position because I could make flyers. Um, and I started making a flyer for the bowling and that was happening, and I got elected to as the event coordinator. I don't know what that meant. I thought that meant like, oh, I have to show up at bowling like twice a week. Like that's cool. And then I got a sponsor, and I started doing the steps with him. Um, and I went through all the steps with him, and I will say like, as I've done them, I'm on step 11 now with my new sponsor. Um, I didn't do the steps fully. Like I didn't when it says like that third step prayer that you do it in every morning and you do your 10 step at night and you like take that time to yourself after the fifth step, all of those like real working steps I didn't do. And it kind of showed in the fact that like I wasn't feeling, it wasn't had that like fulfillment in my life. Still, I was playing this like, um, almost mirage game where like I would put on a happy face and I'd go home and I'd hate myself and, um, I'd go to work and I was masking a lot of like this sadness that I still had because I didn't have a family. Um, I wasn't in a good contact with my parents at that time. I think I called my dad like on holidays and such, but it was very much like just a check in. And my dad is still to this day like always called on around my birthday and around Christmas and offered to buy me a birthday gift and a Christmas gift. Um, and that to me is like the biggest thing. But other than that, I didn't have contact with anyone, and that really made me very sad because I was not accepting like that I had to fully surrender to this program. Um, I did um, about another couple months of that, and then Bruiser came to me and was like, "Hey, like we do a Founders Day event. Like we're a 5 person, usually at 3 attendees group with a full officers that are held by 5 people, like all of them, and we're gonna do Founders Day. This group is gonna start a Founders Day thing in Missoula because there wasn't like the district wasn't doing anything. So, you know, at the time I was like, let's just we can't do this. Um, but we did. And what we ended up doing was the Lubric camp out. And that was like the most work I would put into anything in my life. Um, and what I learned from that, and what started me on this journey of like learning, was I have to give everything to this program to get something out of it. Um, Not a lot of people know this, but my legal name is not Sage. I was I went by I used my legal name up until the end of this camp out, where I um, was like, I don't want to be this anymore. I don't want to be who I am. Um, and uh, I got in a fight with Bruiser um, on the last day, and I went off in the middle of the woods, and I prayed to my higher power, and I said, please take away this this pain, and please take away this this sadness and this fear and my defects and like the shit that I feel consistently. Please take it away because I can't do this anymore, and I hate who I am. And I was afraid that I was going to end up back in that spot where I was going to write another suicide note. And I was in a spot where I didn't have the friends I have today. I had a small group of people that like, would take notice, but I didn't have the community. And so if I would have continued on that path that I was in my first year of sobriety, I don't think I'd be here today. Um, and that to me is the scariest thing that I've realized in the past like month is that like I had to give away everything. Uh, and I realized like part of it was my name, because it held a lot of like words to me hold a lot of weight to them, and one of those was names. Um, and so I went and I said I need to find something else that like I want to start like going by as like a nickname right now, and see how it goes. And I chose Sage, because it felt right. I looked up a lot of like the meaning behind it, the wisdom and like just the fact that it's very earthy, very um like it's simple in the but it also there's a lot into it for me. Um so I was talking to Bruiser on the way back and I was like, I think I want to go by a different name. I think I'm gonna try out this new name. And he's like, okay, we'll see how it goes. And then I talked about it to my mom. And then at my year, when I was getting my year chip, I said, hi, my name is Sage. I'm alcoholic. I have a year sobriety today. And that was it. And since then, I have not gone back. Currently I use my legal name for like bank stuff and everything, but that's a whole different story. What story really means is like what the story really goes on is after that moment and that admittance of defeat and where like the program could take me and it's like this new life. Like they say that at some point, like, you'll have like that clearance and like that, that you'll be able to breathe deep, and like everything, the weight will be lifted, happened in that moment. Um, and I realized like I love AA. And I love service work. Because that was part of it. Is like I left there, and um, I got to talk to people at they were at the people that I'd never talked to ever in the program, that I met for like 5 minutes as I was like anxiously running around this camp out, came to my 1 year my sobriety for me. And when it comes to AA, and it comes like me as an alcoholic, like um I realized like my drinking wasn't because I liked to taste alcohol. It wasn't because like I like the effect that I liked that it talks about in More About Alcoholism is like that I had people that would sit next to me and drink with me and like talk with me. People would be around me. Um, what I learned is when I took away the alcohol, those people that in the bars like weren't there. They wouldn't sit next to me. They wouldn't talk to me. They wouldn't associate with me. Um, Coming to AA, the people that I associate and that I'm, I have friends that I'm, we share a lot of interests and such. But those like the people that came that first year that were at that camp out, I wouldn't have talked to them outside of the rooms. The people that I would have avoided or like thought honestly negative things about in my drinking career, because I'd be drunk and I would like think that they were um, big headed or rude, and I would create these images and these stories in my mind about them. Um, that's the type of person I was. Um, but that getting that year going, having people there that like it didn't matter what I was doing in my life, it didn't matter how I was doing, where I was doing it, anything, they were there for me. Um, and that meant a lot to me. And to those days, some of those people, like, I still like see at events, and like, it's just really good to see them. Like I don't see them a lot, but once again, I don't see them a lot. I just get to see them when I see them, and it's like how are you doing? Like, and I get a like that how are you doing isn't like that bar like hey what's up, how's it going? It's like really how are you doing? Um, and so in the next year I did the camp out again, and it was the same thing. It was more service, a lot more work. I took on a higher service position as a treasurer of that group. And I continued my service journey of like growing in this program. And I really started to lean in on the people that in the rooms like that I had avoided for a while. Um, and I realized like I won't get through this program without having people around me and having that fellowship around me. Because I was hitting like the unity and the service. I was going to meetings, I was doing service work, but I wasn't hitting that third point of triangle. And for me to stay sober and be sober, I have to do all three. Um, so over the course of the next like 2 years, I was working with my sponsor, and I was doing the fellowship, and I was going to meetings, and then um, I started to not go to my meetings, so I'm not with my sponsor as much. I stopped hanging out with a lot of my friends, and then I hang out with my friends a lot more. And then I was really only hitting at fellowship. I'd go to a meeting like once a week, maybe. But if there's an event happening, like a party or like a show, or like we're all going out to like the park to like grab dinner, I was there. Um, so rather than laying on those two legs of the triangle, I was laying on that one, and I was like, well, these people are keeping me sober. Like, if these people disappear, I'm gonna drink. And I started going to more. I realized like I caught on that. My sponsor life happened, and we stopped working together. Somewhat organically, somewhat like um, we stopped answering each other's phone calls, kind of thing. Um, and I think I was angry a little bit at the program of like that I was feeling this way. Um, so I did the another dance of another year or so, working, just going to meetings, I was going to like 5 meetings a week. I was hitting the fellowship, but I wasn't hitting service. And I wasn't doing that part. So now I'm hitting like the other two legs of the triangle, and I'm not hitting that third one. Uh, and I kind of been eyeing this gentleman that like I've always admired in the rooms. I love the way he talks, the way he lives. He's always a positive guy. I right now work with Chris Hightower. For those of you who know, he's like the bubbliest person ever. And he's real, and that's what I like about him. And it took like 2 or 3 months. I did like, okay, should I ask him? I asked someone else because like I didn't think Chris would say yes. That person said no, and I was like, well, okay. And so I did another month of like, I'm gonna ask Chris. Um, and I asked him, and I was like, hey, like, I was wondering if you were sponsoring guys, the whole talk. And it ended up we got coffee, and they started working together. And that's like I did that a little bit in my third year of sobriety, and you know we're still working together now as I stated. And like right after that, I was like, I don't, GSR is open. I think I could do GSR. Like I could do the service work, but like I don't know. And then I was talking with a couple people that I was playing like D&D with, and I was like, I think I might do this. Like, and someone's like, okay, I'll nominate you like at the next business meeting. And I said, okay. Like, so I didn't want to do like I was not fully plunged into that service. I was still playing that game of like dip my toes in the water. Um, I got nominated. I took the position, and over the past year, I like firmly standing on like all three legs of that triangle. Um, and that's due to the fact that like, well, that fact has made my like last year sobriety. Like I have shitty days, and I have like this time in my life where like a lot of things have happened. I've had a lot of change. Um, I've made I'm making some I'm making some big decisions in my life the next like couple months. Um, but what I do is I wake up every day like fulfilled. Like I don't have a day where like even if I don't hit a lot of means in a week because of work, I stay in like that unity and that fellowship where like I have a consistent meetings I go to. I have my like consistent people I talk to. And I work with my sponsor every week. I work with my sponsees most every week. You know, but I meet with that. I make myself available whenever they reach out to me. Um, and what AA has taught me is that like that level of surrender and acceptance that like I have to do all three of those things has made my like journey um be as like solid and as like much as life sucks, like I'm happy today for who I am. And I get to do stuff like this. I get to go to the area and sit with like a bunch of like, the big dogs in Montana AA. And I get to like have a voice and get to look at like where's my next like service gonna be? What am I gonna do for my next service cycle? Because I know that if I get out of service and if I stop doing the service position, if I just start just hitting meetings again and working with the guys and like not really being proactive in my sobriety, I'm gonna lose it. Um, I there's a saying that you have to do something for your sobriety every day, and I was like, I don't have to do something. In the past, I was like, I don't have to do something for my sobriety every single day. But today, I'm like, yeah, I have to legitimately like to wake up every day. If it's not praying, if it's not hitting a meeting, if it's not talking to other alcoholics, I don't feel like that's a successful day. You know, um, today I have like those friends that at the that's opposite of the bar. Where like I have friends I'll talk to in a manner, and when life when I don't have to have anything going on. Like I don't have to have the money or the like food or something crazy going on. Like I can just like sit with someone like outside the street and just talk to them like 20 minutes. And it's like a healthy conversation. And I've learned I don't have to give anything but myself. And I don't have to need anything else but another person and who they can be that day to love them. And the love that I've gotten in AA and the love that like I continue to be filled up with to pour them out to other people and the love of these rooms is something I chased for 10 years in the bars, in those rooms. I chased that. I chased it through relationships. I chased it through friendships. I chased it through like cutting people off and like making statements. I chased it through a bottle. I chased it through anything I could find. And all I had to do was realize that like alcohol was not the answer and that the answer is something better. And it's not me, you know? I don't have to chase anything. I have to let a higher power show me things. And I have to say, okay, I'm gonna follow that. And the life I live today is good. Um, and I'm very happy and I'm very pleased that I get to do things like this, things like working sponsees and things like just the basis of I get to go to meetings and be around people because my drinking I was not someone that I want people want to be around. Um, and to have that today is it's amazing. And so I thank you all for being here and thank you for listening to me speak. And that's really all I have.